I thought he loved me, until I heard why he really married me. For 35 years, I believed every word he said, every promise, every I love you. I was so wrong. My name is Catherine. I'm 60 years old. And 2 months ago, my entire life fell apart when I discovered something I was never supposed to find. Something from before we even met. Something that changed everything I thought I knew about my marriage. Before I tell you what happened, I need to know where you're listening from. Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if this story resonates with you, please subscribe. We share real stories from real women every day. Stories that need to be heard. 35 years of marriage, 2 beautiful children, a life that looked perfect from the outside. Everyone said we were the ideal couple, still in love after all these years. But it was all a lie. From the very beginning. Have you ever found something you weren't looking for? Something that made you question everything? That's what happened to me this January. I turned 60, and something I discovered that day led me to dig deeper, to ask questions I'd never thought to ask. And what I found destroyed me. Documents, old documents, from before my husband and I ever met. Proof of something I never imagined possible. He didn't marry me for love. He married me for a reason, so cold, so deliberate, that I'm still processing it. And when I confronted him, he didn't even try to deny it. What he said to me, the truth he finally admitted after 35 years. It broke something in me I didn't know could break. But this story doesn't end there. Because what my husband didn't know is that the truth has consequences. Stay with me. You need to hear what I discovered, and why he really married me. I met Richard in the spring of 1989. I was 24 years old, teaching English at a public high school in Boston. He was 26, a corporate lawyer at a firm downtown. We met at a bookstore. Sounds romantic, doesn't it? Like fate brought us together. I was looking for a book on poetry. He reached for the same book at the same time. Our hands touched. We both laughed. Great minds think alike, he said, smiling. Or, we both have good taste in poetry, I replied. He was handsome, tall, well-dressed, confident, but not arrogant. He had this way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room. I'm Richard. Catherine, can I buy you coffee? Catherine, I'd love to talk about poetry with someone who actually appreciates it. I said yes. We went to a cafe across the street, talked for 2 hours, about books, about life, about everything. He was fascinating, intelligent, well-read. He'd traveled, had opinions about art and literature, listened when I talked. I hadn't dated anyone seriously in over a year, focused on my teaching career, building my life. But Richard made me want to make time. He asked for my number, called the next day, asked me to dinner. That dinner turned into another, and another. Within weeks, we were seeing each other constantly. My friends loved him. He's perfect. Catherine, smart, successful, treats you like a queen. My parents loved him too. My father especially. Dad ran a small technology company. Nothing fancy, just a modest business he'd started in the late 60s. He'd always struggled with the business side of things. He was an inventor, an engineer, not a businessman. When I brought Richard home for the first time, Dad was impressed. A corporate lawyer. That's excellent, Catherine. You found yourself a smart one. Richard and my father talked for hours about business, about technology, about the future of computing. Your father's brilliant, Richard told me afterward. That company of his is sitting on something special. He just doesn't realize it. Dad's always been more interested in the work than the money. That's admirable, but he should protect what he's built. Make sure it goes to the right people when the time comes. I didn't think much of that conversation. Richard was a lawyer. Of course he thought about things like succession planning and legal protection. Our relationship moved fast. By summer, we were talking about moving in together. By fall, we were looking at apartments. My mother pulled me aside one day. Are you sure about this? You've only known him 6 months. I'm sure, Mom. I love him, and he loves me. I just want you to be careful. Marriage is a big step. We're not talking about marriage yet, just living together. But we were talking about marriage. At least, Richard was. In December of 1989, he proposed. We were at a nice restaurant. He got down on one knee, pulled out a ring. Catherine, you're the love of my life. I can't imagine my future without you. Will you marry me? I said yes. Of course I said yes. I loved him, thought we were perfect together. We got engaged in December, planned to marry the following summer. Everyone was thrilled. My parents, his family, our friends. We were the golden couple. Young, successful, in love. The wedding was in June of 1990. Small ceremony, beautiful day. I walked down the aisle in my mother's wedding dress, saw Richard waiting for me at the altar, thought I was the luckiest woman alive. I do, he said. I do, I said. And just like that, we were married. Mr. and Mrs. Richard Thompson, starting our life together. We honeymooned in Italy, 2 weeks, of Venice, Florence, Rome. It was magical, perfect. Everything I'd dreamed a honeymoon would be. When we came back, we moved into a small apartment in Cambridge. I continued teaching. Richard continued his law career. We were building our life. Those first few years were good, really good. We were young, in love, had our whole lives ahead of us. In 1993, I got pregnant. We were both excited, ready to be parents. Daniel was born in August of that year. I was 20, Richard was 30. We were thrilled. Richard was a good father, attentive, present. He'd come home from work and spend time with Daniel, read to him, play with him. You're such a natural at this, I told him one night. I love being a dad, love our little family. Maybe we should have another one. Give Daniel a sibling. Let's wait a few years, get through the baby stage first. We waited. In 1996, Emma was born. Our family was complete. 2 kids, a nice home, stable careers, everything we wanted. My father's health started declining around that time. He'd always been a workaholic, never took care of himself. By the late 90s, it was catching up to him. Dad, you need to slow down, I told him. Focus on your health. I can't slow down. The company needs me. The company will be fine. You need to take care of yourself. But he didn't slow down. In 1995, he had his first heart attack, survived it, but it scared all of us. Richard was incredible during that time, supportive, helpful, spent time with my father, helped him put his affairs in order. Your father's company, Richard said one evening, has he thought about what happens to it when he's gone? I don't know. We don't really talk about it. He should, for your sake, for the family. There are legal things that need to be handled. I'm not worried about the company. I'm worried about Dad. I know, but these things matter. Let me help him, make sure everything's protected. Richard helped my father set up a trust, made sure the company and all its assets would be handled properly. Everything's going to you, Dad told me. When you turn 60, that's when the trust releases. You'll have complete control. Dad, that's 35 years away. I'm only 25. I know, but that's how the trust works. Protection against you making any rash decisions when you're young. When you're 60, you'll have the wisdom to handle it properly. Okay, Dad, whatever you think is best. I didn't think much about it. I was 25 years old. 60 seemed like a lifetime away. And honestly, I didn't care about the company. I cared about my father, about my family, about my teaching career. Richard helped finalize everything, made sure all the legal documents were in order. Your father's set now, he told me. Everything's protected. When the time comes, you'll be taken care of. Thank you for helping him. It means a lot. Of course, that's what family does. Family, that's what we were. Richard and I, Daniel and Emma, my parents, we were building something beautiful together. My father passed away in 1998, heart attack, sudden, devastating. I was 33 years old, lost, grieving. Richard was my rock, held me while I cried, took care of the kids, handled the funeral arrangements, managed all the legal details with the trust. I don't know what I'd do without you, I told him. You'll never have to find out. I'm here, always. And he was. For 35 years, he was there, by my side, through everything. Or so I thought. Because what I didn't know, what I couldn't have known, was that Richard had known about my father's company before he ever met me. Before that bookstore, before the coffee, before the poetry. He'd known exactly who I was, exactly what I would inherit, exactly when. And he'd planned everything accordingly. But I wouldn't discover that for another 27 years. Not until I turned 60. Not until I finally inherited what my father had left me. Not until it was almost too late. The years after my father's death were a blur of grief and rebuilding, but Richard was there through all of it. Steady, supportive, the husband I'd always believed him to be. Life settled into a comfortable rhythm. I taught. Richard worked his way up at the law firm. Daniel and Emma grew. We were a normal family doing normal things. In 1999, we bought a house in the suburbs. 3 bedrooms, nice yard, good school district. It felt like we were really establishing ourselves, building something permanent. This is it, Richard said as we signed the mortgage papers. Our forever home. I love it. The kids will love it. We can grow old here. The years between 2020 and 2024 were strange in ways I didn't recognize at the time. Looking back, I can see the patterns, the subtle shifts, the careful positioning. But when you're living it, you don't see it. You just think your husband is being thoughtful, attentive, planning for the future together. In 2020, I turned 55. Richard threw me a surprise party, invited all our friends, made a toast to my beautiful wife, 55 years young, and more beautiful now than the day I met her. Everyone cheered. I felt loved, appreciated, lucky. 5 more years and you can retire. He said later that night, have you thought about what you want to do? Not really. It still feels far away. It's not that far. 5 years goes by fast. We should start planning, traveling, maybe buy a vacation home, somewhere warm. That sounds nice. Let's start looking at options. We did spend weekends browsing real estate listings, talking about where we'd want to spend our retirement. Florida, California, maybe somewhere international. We could really do anything, Richard said. Once you retired, once the trust releases, we'll have options. There it was again. The trust. He mentioned it more frequently now. Always casual, always in the context of planning our future together. I should probably check on it, I said. See what's actually in there. Good idea. You should know what you're working with. Could affect our retirement plans. I called the law firm managing the trust, spoke with an attorney I'd never met. My father's original attorney had retired years ago. Mrs. Thompson, yes, the Harris Trust. It's been performing well. I can send you an updated statement. Thank you. I'd appreciate that. The statement arrived a week later. I opened it at the kitchen table, nearly dropped it when I saw the numbers. The company my father had started the small technology business I'd barely thought about in years was worth $75 million. $75 million. I sat there staring at the number, couldn't process it. Richard, I called out. He was in his home office. Yes, you need to see this. He came into the kitchen. I handed him the statement, watched his face as he read it. 75 million. He said slowly, Catherine, this is incredible. I had no idea. Dad's company was always so small. How did this happen? Richard scanned the document. Looks like the patent. Your father's patent on data compression technology. It's become incredibly valuable. Companies are licensing it for streaming services, cloud storage, everything. I don't even understand what that means. It means your father was sitting on a gold, and in 5 years, it's all yours. He looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Excitement, calculation, love. I thought it was excitement, thought we were both amazed at this unexpected windfall. What should we do? I asked. Nothing right now. Just wait. When you turn 60, you'll have full control. Then we can decide. But Catherine, this changes everything. Our retirement, our future, everything. It feels overwhelming. I know, but it's good overwhelming. This is a blessing. Your father's legacy. He hugged me, kissed the top of my head. We're going to be fine. Better than fine. I believed him. Thought he was as surprised as I was. Thought we were discovering this together. I didn't know he'd known about that patent since 1988. That he'd analyzed its potential worth before he ever spoke to me in that bookstore. That every moment of our marriage had been leading to this thought. After that discovery, Richard became even more attentive, more present, more affectionate. Let's make the most of these next few years, he'd say. Before everything changes, we traveled, went to Europe for 2 weeks, visited Daniel and Emma more often, spent long weekends at bed and breakfasts. This is nice, I told him during a trip to Vermont. Spending time together like this, it is. We should have done this more often over the years. We were busy, raising kids, working life gets in the way. Well, no more excuses. These are our years now. In 2022, I turned 57, 3 years away from 60, from the trust, from everything changing. Richard started talking more seriously about my retirement. You should definitely retire at 60. No reason to keep working when you don't have to. I like teaching, I know, but you could volunteer, tutor, do it on your terms instead of someone else's schedule. Maybe, I'll think about it, and we should talk to a financial advisor. Someone who can help us manage the trust when it comes through. 75 million is a lot of money. We need to be smart about it. Okay, that makes sense. He set up meetings with financial advisors, wealth managers, estate planners, all very professional, all very focused on protecting and growing the money I'd inherit. We want to make sure this lasts, Richard explained, that we're set for life, that the kids inherit something too. It all sounded reasonable. A husband looking out for his family's financial future. I attended the meetings, nodded along, signed some preliminary paperwork, trusted Richard to handle the details. You're so good at this stuff, I told him. I'm glad you're managing it. That's what I'm here for, to take care of you. By 2023, I was 2 years away. Richard's attention intensified. He was home more, traveled less for work, planned elaborate date nights. You're being so sweet lately, I said one evening. Just appreciating what I have. You, this life, I don't want to take it for granted. You're not taking anything for granted. You're a wonderful husband. He smiled, kissed me. I love you, Catherine. I love you too. Did he mean it, any of it? Or was it all performance, maintaining the illusion until he could cash out? I'll never know, and that uncertainty eats at me more than the betrayal itself. My birthday was in January. In early 2024, Richard started planning something special. Your 60th is going to be big. I'm thinking a huge party. Everyone we know, celebrating you. That's not necessary. Yes, it is. 60 is a milestone, and it's the beginning of our next chapter. It should be celebrated properly. He booked a venue, sent out invitations, planned every detail. This is a lot, I said, looking at the guest list. Over 100 people. You deserve it, after everything. Your career, raising our kids, being an amazing wife. You deserve to be celebrated. I felt touched, loved, grateful for a husband who cared so much. I had no idea he was celebrating something else entirely. The end of a 35-year investment, the payoff he'd been waiting for since 1988. The months leading up to my 60th birthday were a whirlwind. Planning the party, finishing up my last semester of teaching. I'd decided to retire at 60 after all. Preparing for this new phase of life. I'm excited, I told Richard one evening in December. Nervous, but excited. About what? Everything. Retiring. The trust. Whatever comes next. It's going to be amazing. I promise. Everything we've worked for. Everything we've waited for. It's finally here. Everything he'd waited for. But I didn't know that yet. Christmas came and went. New Year's. And then suddenly it was January 2025. My 60th birthday was on January 15th. The party was planned for the 18th. A Saturday. Perfect timing. On the morning of my actual birthday, Richard brought me breakfast in bed, flowers, a card. Happy birthday, my love. 60 years, and you've never looked better. Thank you. This is sweet. Open the card. I did. Inside, he'd written a long message about our life together, our love, our future, how the best was yet to come. This is beautiful, I said, tears in my eyes. I mean every word. Later that day, I got a call from the trust attorney. Mrs. Thompson, happy birthday. I'm calling to inform you that as of today, the Harris Trust has been released to your control. You now have full access to all assets. I'll be sending over paperwork for you to review and sign. Thank you. I hung up and looked at Richard. It's official. The trust is mine now. Congratulations. How does it feel? Surreal. I keep thinking about Dad. How he'd be happy knowing I'm taken care of. He'd be proud of you. The party was that weekend. Over 100 people came. Friends, family, colleagues. Daniel and Emma flew in from their respective cities. It was beautiful. Richard gave a toast that made everyone cry, about how much he loved me, how lucky he was, how excited he was for our future together. To Catherine, he said, raising his glass, the love of my life, my partner, my everything. Everyone cheered. I felt overwhelmed with gratitude, with love, with hope for what came next. 2 weeks later, everything fell apart. Richard came home from work one evening, February, cold, dark outside. We need to talk, he said. I was in the kitchen making dinner. Something in his tone made me turn around. About what? About us, about the future, about some decisions we need to make. Okay, what kind of decisions? He sat down at the table, looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before, cold, distant, like he was looking at a stranger. I think we should sell the company, the patent, all of it, take the 75 million and invest it. Live off the returns. You're retired now. We have time. We should enjoy it. That's a big decision. I need time to think about it. What's there to think about? It's sitting there doing nothing. We could be using it, living our lives. It's my father's legacy. I don't want to rush into anything. His expression hardened. Your father's been dead for 27 years, Catherine. This isn't about legacy, it's about being smart with money. Something felt off. Wrong. This wasn't how Richard talked to me. This wasn't how we made decisions. I need to do some research, I said. Talk to advisors. Understand the options. Fine, but don't take too long. Opportunities don't wait. That conversation bothered me for days. The tone, the pressure, the coldness. I started looking through our home office, through Richard's files. Not snooping, just trying to understand the company better. The patent, what it all meant. That's when I found the old laptop. It was in a box in the attic. Richard's laptop from the late 80s. I'd never even thought about it before. Ancient technology, probably didn't even work. But something made me take it down, plug it in, see if it would turn on. It did. And what I found on that laptop destroyed everything. I thought I knew about my marriage. Asterisk, the laptop was slow. Ancient by modern standards. It took several minutes just to boot up, but it worked. I sat in the attic with it on my lap, staring at the old desktop screen, Windows 95, icons I hadn't seen in decades. It was like stepping back in time. I didn't know what I was looking for, just had this feeling, this nagging sense that something was wrong. Richard's behavior had changed so dramatically after my birthday. The pressure to sell, the coldness, it didn't make sense. I clicked through folders, old work documents, letters, spreadsheets. Nothing interesting. Nothing that explained anything. Then I found a folder labeled Personal -1988. The year before we met, I opened it. Inside were dozens of documents, research files, analysis reports, spreadsheets with projections and calculations, and every single one was about my father's company, about the patent, about me. My hands started shaking. There was a document titled Harris Tech Analysis, June 1988. I opened it. Read the first line. Harris patent number 4,532,891 data compression technology. Current value, minimal. Projected value within 30 years. Exponential growth potential due to emerging digital media market. Strategic recommendation, acquire access through family connection. Strategic recommendation, acquire access, family connection. I kept reading. The document outlined the patent in detail, explained why it would become valuable, predicted the rise of digital media, streaming, cloud storage, all the technologies that would need data compression. My father had invented something crucial, and this analysis written in 1988 had predicted exactly how valuable it would become. At the bottom of the document was a note, daughter, Catherine Harris, age 23, unmarried, teacher, trust structure, releases at age 60. Timeline, 37 years, viable long-term strategy. Viable long-term strategy. I couldn't breathe. I opened another document. This one was dated July 1988. Catherine Harris's background research. It detailed everything about me, where I worked, where I lived, my routines, places I frequented, my favorite bookstore. The bookstore where we accidentally met. My stomach turned. There was more. A timeline, a plan. August 1988. Establish initial contact. Build rapport through shared interests, literature, poetry. September-December 1988. Develop relationship. Gain trust of family, particularly father. 1989. Propose marriage. Secure legal connection to family assets. 1990 to 2025. Maintain marriage. Wait for trust release. 2025. Upon trust release, liquidate assets. Divorce, if necessary. Divorce, if necessary. I read that line over and over. Divorce, if necessary, like I was just an obstacle. Something to be dealt with if I became inconvenient. 30-5 years. Our entire marriage, planned in advance, calculated, a long-term investment strategy. I thought I was going to be sick, but I kept reading. I had to know everything. There were emails, old emails from 1988 and 1989, between Richard and someone named David Chen, an investment advisor. Apparently, the Harris opportunity is solid. Richard had written, patent analysis confirms significant future value. Daughter is the key. Marry in, wait it out. Cash out in 2025. David Chen's response, 37 years is a long commitment. Are you prepared for that? Richard, for this kind of return, absolutely. It's guaranteed money. Just requires patience. Guaranteed money, that's what I was. A guaranteed return on investment. Another email from September 1988. Made first contact today. Bookstore, as planned. She's interested. This should be easy. As planned. The bookstore wasn't an accident. Nothing was an accident. I found more documents, notes about our early dates, analysis of my personality, what I responded to, how to build my trust. Catherine responds well to intellectual conversation, use poetry and literature as bonding tools. Father is protective but respects professional success, emphasized legal career and stability. Mother is cautious, win her over through family values and long-term commitment signals. Every moment of our courtship had been calculated. Every conversation, every gesture, every "I love you." None of it was real. I don't know how long I sat there in the attic. Hours, maybe, reading through document after document, email after email, watching my entire life revealed as a lie. There was a spreadsheet, a financial projection tracking the patent's growth over the decades. He'd updated it annually, watched the value climb year after year, counting his future fortune, waiting patiently for payday. And I'd been completely clueless, teaching my classes, raising our children, loving a man who'd never loved me back. Our children, Daniel and Emma, were they part of the plan too? Just props. In his long con, I found a document from 1992. Children, necessary for maintaining cover, recommended 1 to 2 to ensure normal family appearance. Children, recommended, for cover. I started crying, sitting in the dusty attic with a laptop from 1988, crying over the ruins of my life. But then something else happened. The grief turned to anger. 30-5 years. He'd stolen 35 years of my life, and he'd planned to take the money and leave. Divorce, if necessary. Well, divorce was going to be necessary, but not the way he'd planned. I took the laptop downstairs, hid it in my closet. Richard was still at work, wouldn't be home for another hour. I needed time to think, to plan, to figure out what to do with this information. Part of me wanted to confront him immediately, scream, throw things, demand answers. But another part, the part that had been married to a calculating strategist for 35 years, knew that would be stupid. If Richard had planned this for 37 years, I needed to be just as careful with my response. I called Daniel. My hands were still shaking. Mom, everything okay? I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Okay, what is it? Your father? Has he ever said anything to you about my father's company? About the trust? About money? Silence. Then, why are you asking? Daniel, please, has he? Yeah, actually, he called me last month, right after your birthday. Asked if I thought you'd be willing to sell the company. Said it was a lot of money just sitting there, that you guys should cash out and enjoy retirement. What did you tell him? I told him it was your decision, that he should talk to you about it. Why? What's going on? I can't explain right now, but I need you to do something for me. Don't tell your father we talked. Don't mention this conversation. Can you do that? Mom, you're scaring me. I know, I'm sorry. Just please, trust me, okay? I won't say anything. I hung up and called Emma. Hey Mom, hi sweetheart. Quick question. Has your father talked to you about the company? About the trust? A couple weeks ago. He wanted to know if you'd mentioned anything about your plans for it. Seemed really interested in whether you were thinking about selling. Why? Did he say why he wanted to know? Said he was trying to help you make the right decision. That it was a lot of money and you might need guidance. It seemed sweet, actually. Like he was looking out for you. Sweet, right? Emma, don't mention this conversation to your father. Okay. But Mom, is everything all right? Everything's fine. I just need to handle some things. I love you. Love you too. I hung up and sat there, processing. Richard had been working the kids, trying to get information, trying to influence me through them. Even our children were part of his strategy. The front door opened. Richard was home. Catherine, where are you? In the living room. He came in, kissed me on the cheek like he did every evening, like nothing was wrong, like he was still the loving husband he'd been pretending to be for 35 years. How was your day? He asked. Fine, quiet. I cleaned out some stuff in the attic. I watched his face carefully. Did he tense? Did he remember the laptop? Find anything interesting? Just old junk. I threw most of it away. He relaxed slightly. Good. We should clear out that space. Make room for something useful. Yeah, we should. He sat down next to me, took my hand. Have you thought more about what we discussed? About selling the company? I have, and I think I want to get a second opinion. Talk to some other advisors. Make sure we're making the right decision. His jaw tightened, just barely, but I saw it. We already talked to advisors. They all said the same thing. Sell and invest. I know, but this is a big decision. I want to be thorough. Catherine, opportunities don't wait forever. If we wait too long, the value could drop. The market could change. Then we'll adjust. But I'm not rushing into this. You're being unreasonable. There it was. The first crack in his mask. After 35 years of patience, he was getting impatient. It's my decision, Richard. My inheritance. I'll take as much time as I need. He stood up. Fine, but don't blame me when we miss our window. He walked out of the room. I heard him go into his office, closed the door. I sat there, heart pounding, mind racing. He didn't know I'd found the laptop, didn't know I knew everything. That gave me an advantage. A small one, but an advantage nonetheless. I needed a lawyer. A good one. Someone who could help me protect myself, protect the company, protect everything. But I had to be careful. If Richard suspected I knew, he might do something drastic. For now, I had to play along, pretend everything was normal, pretend I still trusted him, just like he'd been pretending to love me for 35 years. Could play that game. I waited 3 days before making my first move. 3 days of pretending everything was normal. 3 days of smiling at Richard over breakfast, kissing him goodnight, acting like the trusting wife I'd been for 35 years. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done. Every time he touched me, I wanted to recoil. Every time he said, "I love you," I wanted to scream. But I didn't. I played my part, just like he'd been playing his. On the 4th day, I told Richard I was going shopping with a friend. "Have fun," he said, barely looking up from his laptop. "I will. I'll be back this afternoon." Instead of going shopping, I drove to downtown Boston, to a law firm I'd researched extensively, Morrison and Associates, specializing in family law and asset protection. I'd made an appointment under my maiden name, Catherine Harris, not Thompson, just in case Richard had connections in the legal community. The receptionist smiled when I arrived. "Ms. Harris, Attorney Morrison is ready for you." Jennifer Morrison was in her 50s. Sharp, professional, the kind of woman who looked like she didn't lose cases. "Ms. Harris, please sit. What can I help you with today?" I pulled out a flash drive. I'd copied everything from the laptop, every document, every email, every piece of evidence. I need help protecting myself from my husband, and I need to make sure he never gets access to my inheritance. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Tell me everything. I did. The whole story, the laptop, the documents, the 37-year plan, the fake marriage, all of it. Jennifer listened without interrupting, took notes. Her expression didn't change, but I saw something flash in her eyes. Anger, maybe, or recognition. When I finished, she sat back in her chair. "Mrs. Thompson Harris, please call me Catherine. Catherine, this is one of the most calculated cases of fraud I've seen in 25 years of practice. What your husband did researching you, planning a marriage specifically to access your inheritance. This goes beyond typical marital issues. Can I protect myself? The company, the money, yes, absolutely. But we need to be strategic. If he suspects he could take action, move money, hide asset. We need to secure everything before confronting him. What do I do? First, we document everything. You have the laptop files. That's excellent. We'll need to authenticate them. Create certified copies. Secure them legally. Okay. Second, we need to understand the trust structure. Who controls it now? What are the legal parameters? Can he access it through marriage? The trust is in my name only. My father was very specific about that. It releases to me at 60. No one else. Good. But in a marriage, assets can become commingled. We need to ensure the company remains separate property. Has any trust money been used for joint expenses? No. It just released last month. I haven't touched it yet. Perfect. Don't. Not until we have protection in place. We'll set up a separate trust, in your name only. Transfer the company assets there. Make it legally untouchable. How long will that take? A few weeks, maybe a month. Can you maintain the appearance of normalcy that long? Could I keep pretending? Keep sleeping next to a man who'd built our entire life on lies? I'll do whatever it takes. Good. One more thing. Do you want to stay in this marriage? I didn't even hesitate. No, I want a divorce. But I want to make sure he gets nothing, not a penny of my inheritance, not the house, nothing. That's achievable. Massachusetts law recognizes separate property. The trust was established before marriage, specifically for you. With proper documentation, we can exclude it from marital assets entirely. What about the house? We bought it together. When did you buy it? 1999. We both contributed to the down payment. Then it's marital property. You'll likely need to split it. But given his fraudand, we can prove fraud with these documents. You have grounds for a favorable settlement. I don't care about the house. He can have it. I just want the company protected. And I want him to know that I know that he didn't get away with it. Jennifer smiled. Small, professional, but there was satisfaction in it. We can arrange that. When the time is right, we'll serve him with divorce papers that detail exactly what we know. Every document, every email, every lie. He'll know you found everything. Good. We spent the next 2 hours going through details, timelines, strategies, what I should and shouldn't do. Don't change your behavior. Jennifer advised. Don't give him any reason to suspect. Keep your routine normal. Keep conversations normal. We need time to set up the legal protections. Okay. And Catherine, don't tell anyone. Not your children. Not your friends. No one. The fewer people who know, the better. I understand. I left the law office with a plan. A real plan. Not just anger and hurt, but concrete steps to protect myself. Over the next few weeks, I played the perfect wife. Made dinner, asked about Richard's day, discussed mundane things like grocery shopping and weekend plans. The whole time, my lawyer was working in the background, setting up trusts, securing assets, building an airtight case. Richard kept pushing about selling the company. Have you made a decision yet? He'd ask, almost daily now. I'm still thinking about it. It's a big decision. We've been thinking about it for weeks. This is getting ridiculous. I'm sorry. I just need more time. His frustration grew more visible. The mask was slipping. After 35 years of patience, he was running out. Good. I wanted him frustrated, wanted him off balance. The more he pushed, the more evidence I had of his true intentions. One evening in late February, I accidentally mentioned something. I was thinking, maybe, instead of selling, we could use the company income. It generates revenue from the patent licenses. We could live off that. Keep the company in the family. Richard's face went cold. That's not a good investment strategy, but it's steady income. Safe. Safe doesn't build wealth. We need to liquidate. Take the money, invest it properly. I don't know. My father built that company. It feels wrong to just sell it. Your father is dead, Catherine. This isn't about sentiment. It's about being smart. Maybe, but I'm not ready to decide yet. He stood up, threw his napkin on the table. Fine. Take your time, but don't come crying to me when the opportunity is gone. He left the room. I heard him go upstairs, slam the bedroom door. I sat there, heart racing, but also satisfied. Every outburst, every show of frustration, it all proved what he really cared about, and it wasn't me. I texted Jennifer. He's getting more agitated, pressure increasing. She responded immediately. Good. Almost done with the trust setup. One more week. Can you hold out? Yes. That week was the longest of my life. Every day felt like walking on a tightrope. One wrong word, one suspicious look, and Richard might figure it out. But I held on, kept playing my role. The obedient wife, the indecisive woman who needed guidance. Inside, I was counting down, waiting for Jennifer to give me the signal. On March 1st, my phone rang. Catherine, it's Jennifer. Everything's in place. The trust is established. Your assets are protected. We're ready to proceed whenever you are. What's next? We serve him with divorce papers, and we include every piece of evidence we have. He'll know that you know everything, that his plan failed, that he gets nothing. That's up to you. We can do it today, tomorrow, whenever you're ready. I thought about it. 35 years of marriage, about to end. Not with a conversation, not with counseling, or trying to work things out. With legal papers and proof of fraud. Do it tomorrow. Serve him at his office. I don't want to be there when it happens. Understood. We'll have a process server deliver them at 10 a.m. I recommend you not be home when he finds out. He may try to contact you, to explain or manipulate. I'll go to my daughter's in Boston. I'll stay there for a few days. Perfect. Catherine, you did the right thing. Protecting yourself, standing up for yourself. You should be proud. Proud? I didn't feel proud. I felt betrayed, angry, hurt. But I also felt something else. Something I hadn't felt in a long time. Strong, in control, like I was finally taking my life back. Thank you, Jennifer, for everything. We're not done yet, but we're off to a good start. I hung up, sat in my car in the law firm parking lot. Tomorrow, Richard would find out. would realize I'd known for weeks that while he thought he was still in control, I'd been 3 steps ahead, just like he'd been 3 steps ahead of me for 37 years. Tomorrow, the game would end, and I was going to win. I packed a bag that night, told Richard I was going to visit Emma for a few days. She's been stressed with work, thought I'd go help her out, keep her company. Richard barely looked up from his phone. Fine, whatever. No, I'll miss you. Number, have a safe trip. Dismissal. The man who'd pretended to love me for 35 years couldn't even pretend anymore now that he thought he was close to getting what he wanted. I left early the next morning, drove to Emma's apartment in Boston. She was at work, but I had a key. I sat on her couch, checked my phone. 9:47 a.m. In 13 minutes, a process server would walk into Richard's office, hand him an envelope, and his entire world would collapse. Just like mine had 3 weeks ago. 9:52 a.m. My phone was in my hand, waiting. 10 a.m. exactly. I imagined it happening. Richard at his desk, someone knocking. Richard Thompson, you've been served. The envelope, the papers, the first page summarizing the divorce petition. Then the attachments, page after page of evidence, his own documents, his own emails, his own words from 1988, 10:07 a.m. My phone rang. Richard, I didn't answer. It rang again, and again, 6 calls in 3 minutes, then a text. Call me now. Another. Catherine, what the fuck is this? Another. This is insane. These documents are fake. Call me. I didn't respond. 10:15 a.m. He called Emma. She texted me. Dad just called. Sounds really upset. Asked if you were with me. I said no. What's going on? I texted back. I'll explain everything later. Please don't tell him I'm there. Mom, you're scaring me. I know. I'm sorry. Trust me, please. 10:23 a.m. My phone rang again. Not Richard this time. A number I didn't recognize. I answered. Catherine Thompson. A woman's voice. Yeah, this is Amanda Price. I'm Richard Thompson's attorney. He's asked me to contact you regarding the divorce filing this morning. I have an attorney, Jennifer Morrison. Contact her, Mrs. Thompson. I think there's been a misunderstanding. Perhaps if you and Richard could speak. No misunderstanding. Everything in those documents is real. Every email, every plan, every lie. I found all of it. And now he knows that I know. Silence on the other end. Then, I see. Mrs. Thompson, regardless of the circumstances, we should handle this professionally, through our attorneys. I agree. Have your office contact Jennifer Morrison. I have nothing to say to Richard. I hung up. 11:30 a.m. More calls from Richard. More texts, getting more desperate. Please, Catherine, we need to talk. This is all a misunderstanding. Those files are out of context. You don't understand out of context, right? 1:47 p.m. My phone rang. Emma. Mom, Dad just showed up at my apartment. He's at the door. What do I do? My heart stopped. Don't let him in. He's saying he needs to talk to you, that it's an emergency. Emma, listen to me. Do not let him in. Tell him I'm not there. Tell him you don't know where I am. He's really upset. Mom, he's crying. Crying. After 37 years of calculation and lies, now he was crying. I don't care. Don't let him in. I'll explain everything soon. But right now, you need to trust me. Please. Okay. I'll tell him you're not here. I heard her talking to him through the door. Dad, she's not here. I don't know where she is. You need to leave. Richard's voice, muffled. Emma, please. I need to talk to her. This is all a mistake. I can't help you. I'm sorry. I heard more arguing. Then finally, silence. Emma came back on the line. He left. Mom, what is happening? Come home, as soon as you can. I'll tell you everything. Emma got home at 6 p.m. She walked in, saw me on her couch, and immediately started crying. Mom, what is going on? Dad looked destroyed. I've never seen him like that. I took a deep breath. Sit down. I need to tell you something. About your father, about our marriage, about everything. She sat. I pulled out my laptop, showed her the files, the documents from 1988, the emails, the plan. Read her, the timeline, the strategy, the words, viable long-term strategy next to my name, showed her the note about children, necessary for maintaining cover. Emma's face went white, then red, then white again. This can't be real. Dad wouldn't, he couldn't. It's real. I found it 3 weeks ago on his old laptop from 1988. Everything is dated, time-stamped. It's all real. He married you for money, for Grandpa's company, yes. He researched the patent, knew it would be valuable, found out I'd inherit at 60, planned everything. The bookstore wasn't an accident. Nothing was an accident. Emma stood up, started pacing. 35 years, my entire life. It was all fake. His feelings for me were fake, but you and Daniel were props. It says it right there. Necessary for maintaining cover. We were part of his I didn't have words to make it better, because she was right. I'm so sorry, Emma. Why are you sorry? You didn't do this. He did. She was crying now. Angry tears. How could he do this to you? To us? I don't know. Does Daniel know? Not yet. I'll tell him tomorrow. We sat there in her apartment, mother and daughter, both trying to process the destruction of our family. Around 8 p.m., my phone rang again. Richard, for the 100th time that day. Emma grabbed it, answered, stopped calling her. I could hear Richard's voice, desperate. Emma, please, let me talk to your mother. I can explain. Explain what? How you married her for money. How you planned it for years before you even met her. How me and Daniel were just part of your cover story. Emma, it wasn't like that. I saw the documents, Dad. I read your emails, your plan. It's exactly like that. You don't understand. It started that way, but I did love her. I do love her. And I love you and your brother. Don't. Emma's voice was ice. Don't you dare say you love us. You used us. For 35 years, Mom gave you everything, and you were just waiting to cash out. Emma, stay away from her. Stay away from me. I never want to see you again. She hung up, blocked his number, threw the phone on the couch. Then she collapsed next to me and sobbed. I held her, my daughter, who'd just learned her entire childhood was built on lies. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm so sorry you had to find out this way. I'm glad I know. I'm glad you know. I wish none of it was real. I wish we could go back to before. Me too. But we couldn't go back. We could only go forward. Over the next few days, I told Daniel. He had the same reaction as Emma. Shock, anger, disbelief, then rage. I'm going to kill him, he said. No, you're not. We're going to handle this legally. He's going to lose everything he wanted. That's enough. It's not enough. He stole your life. I know, but I'm taking it back. That's what matters now. The divorce proceedings started. Richard tried everything. His attorney argued the documents were taken illegally, that they were out of context, that our marriage had been real, regardless of how it started. Jennifer destroyed every argument. The laptop was my property, found in my house. The documents were authenticated by forensic analysts, the timestamps verified, every word proven to be Richard's own. Richard tried to claim he deserved part of the company. Marital assets, community property. Jennifer presented the trust documents, my father's will, proof that the company was separate property, established before marriage, protected by law. Richard got nothing, not the company, not the money, not even a portion of our house side. Let him keep it, didn't want anything he'd touched. The divorce was finalized in June, 4 months after I'd found that laptop. 35 years of marriage over. I thought I'd feel relieved, vindicated, victorious. Instead, I felt empty. 35 years, gone, wasted on a man who'd never loved me, who'd chosen me like a stock pick, a long-term investment. But slowly, something else started growing. Not happiness exactly, but something like freedom. I was 60 years old. I had $75 million. I had my father's company. I had my children, who stood by me completely, and I had the truth. Richard had thought he was so smart, so patient, waiting 37 years for his payday. But he'd made one crucial mistake. He'd underestimated me, thought I'd never find out, never question, never fight back. He thought I was just the naive girl from the bookstore, the teacher who'd be grateful for his love, the wife who'd trust him completely. He was wrong, and now everyone knew it. The months after the divorce were strange. I moved into a condo in downtown Boston. New place, new start, nothing that reminded me of Richard or our old life. Richard didn't take the divorce well. His attorney called Jennifer repeatedly, trying to renegotiate, claiming the settlement was unfair. He got exactly what he deserved. Jennifer told them nothing, but Richard wouldn't let go. He started showing up places, my favorite coffee shop, the bookstore where we'd met, waiting for me, trying to talk. Catherine, please, just 5 minutes. I walked past him every time, didn't even look at him. He sent letters, emails, texts, from new numbers I'd blocked immediately. All of them said the same thing. It wasn't all fake. I did love you. Please believe me. To live, and probably still lies. In September, 6 months after the divorce, he showed up at Daniel's apartment in New York. Daniel called me immediately. Dad's here. Should I talk to him? That's your choice, but be careful. Everything he says is manipulation. Daniel talked to him for 2 hours, came away angrier than before. He actually tried to justify it. Mom said he did love you, that the marriage became real even if it started fake, that he deserves another chance. What did you say? I told him he's delusional, that you can't build a real relationship on a foundation of lies, that he doesn't deserve anything from you. How did he react? Cried, begged me to talk to you, to convince you to give him another chance. I told him I'd never do that, but what he did was unforgivable. Richard tried the same with Emma. She refused to even let him in her building by October. His attempts became more desperate. He contacted my friends, my former colleagues, anyone who might have influence with me. Please talk to Catherine. Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her I love her. My friends were horrified when they learned the truth, the ones I told. Anyway, I didn't broadcast it, but word spread. The man who'd seemed like the perfect husband for 35 years was revealed as a fraud, a con artist who'd played the longest game imaginable. His reputation in the legal community collapsed. Partners at his firm quietly asked him to leave. Clients didn't want to be associated with him. By December, he'd lost his job, his standing, his family, everything. And still he kept trying. Catherine, I have nothing left. You took everything from me. I finally responded to one of his emails. Just one line. I didn't take anything. You gambled and lost. That was the last contact we had. The first year after the divorce was about rebuilding, not just my life, but myself. I'd spent 35 years being someone's wife, someone's investment strategy. I needed to figure out who Catherine was without that. I started traveling, real traveling, not the trips Richard and I had taken where he controlled the itinerary and the budget. Solo trips where I went where I wanted, stayed as long as I wanted, did whatever interested me. I went to Greece, spent 3 weeks island hopping, reading, writing, thinking. I went to Japan, learned about a culture completely different from my own, found peace in temples and tea ceremonies. I went to Scotland, walked through castles and countryside, felt small in the best way. You seem different, Emma said when I got back from Scotland. Lighter? I feel different, like I'm finally living for myself. I'm proud of you, Mom, for how you handled everything, for not letting him destroy you. He tried, but I'm stronger than he thought. I also focused on the company, my father's company, the thing Richard had wanted so badly. I met with the board, learned about the business, the patent, what made it valuable. Your father was a genius, the CEO told me. This compression technology, it's being used in everything now. Streaming services, cloud storage, medical imaging. He created something that changed the world. I felt proud. My father had built something real, something valuable, not because of money, but because it helped people. I decided not to sell, despite what Richard had wanted, despite the pressure. The company stays, I told the board. We'll keep licensing the patent, keep innovating, honor my father's legacy. The income from the patent licenses was more than enough to live on, comfortably, generously, without ever touching the principal. I started a foundation, using some of the money to fund scholarships for students studying engineering and technology, kids who had the talent but not the resources, in memory of Robert Harris. The foundation was called My Father's Name, His Legacy, used for good. Daniel and Emma were supportive, proud, even, this is what Grandpa would have wanted, Daniel said, not selling out, building something meaningful. I also started therapy. Needed to process 35 years of deception, the betrayal, the loss. How do you trust again after something like that? I asked my therapist, slowly, carefully. But you do trust again, because the alternative is letting him win, letting him take your ability to connect with people. You can't let him have that. She was right, but it was hard. I dated a little, nothing serious, mostly just reminding myself what it felt like to have conversations with men who weren't secretly calculating my net worth. One man, a retired professor, was kind, interesting. We went to dinner a few times. I like you, Catherine, but I feel like you're not really here, like part of you is still somewhere else. He was right, I wasn't ready, maybe wouldn't be for a long time. I'm sorry. You're wonderful. I'm just not ready. I understand. When you are, I hope you find someone who deserves you. By the end of that first year, I was 61, divorced, wealthy, free, and slowly, very slowly, I was becoming happy. Not the fake happiness I'd had with Richard, the kind where you pretend everything's fine because you don't know it, isn't real happiness, the kind that comes from knowing yourself, living authentically, not being anyone's project or investment. I thought about Richard sometimes, wondered where he was, what he was doing, but mostly, I didn't think about him at all. He'd taken 35 years of my life. I wasn't giving him another second. Asterisk, I'm 62 years old now. It's been 2 years since I found that laptop in the attic. 2 years since my entire world shattered and then slowly rebuilt itself into something better. People ask me sometimes if I regret the 35 years, if I wish I'd never married Richard, if I wish I could go back and change everything. The answer is complicated. Do I regret the time wasted on someone who never loved me? Yes, absolutely. But those 35 years also gave me Daniel and Emma. Two incredible people who stood by me when the truth came out, who chose me over the man who'd raised them, who helped me rebuild. I can't regret anything that brought them into my life. What I've learned is this: some people are capable of things you can't imagine. Deception so deep, so calculated, that it spans decades. And you can live with someone for 35 years and never really know them. Richard fooled me completely. I never suspected, never questioned, trusted him with everything. And that wasn't my fault, it was his. I've also learned that it's never too late to start over. At 60, I thought my life was settled, decided, the path was clear. Then everything exploded, and I had to build a new path. At an age when most people are winding down, I was starting over. And you know what? It's been the most liberating experience of my life. I'm not the woman I was 2 years ago. I'm stronger, more cautious, yes, but also more confident, more certain of who I am and what I want. I run my father's company now, not day-to-day operations. I have excellent people for that, but I'm involved. I make decisions. I honor his legacy in ways I never could when I was just Richard's wife. I traveled. I have friends who value me for who I am, not what I can give them. I have my children, my foundation, my life. Richard tried to contact me once this year, through his attorney, asking if we could talk, if there was any chance of reconciliation. I didn't even respond. Jennifer handled it. One word, no. I heard he moved to another state, started over somewhere else. I don't know where, don't care. His 37-year plan failed. He waited patiently for decades, and in the end, got nothing. Meanwhile, I have everything. Not because of money, though that helps, but because I chose myself. I fought for myself. I didn't let his betrayal destroy me. If you're listening to this story and you see yourself in it, if you're questioning things in your relationship, if something feels off, if you're wondering, if you're being told the truth, trust that instinct, investigate, protect yourself. Don't wait years to find out you were right to be suspicious. I want to know where you're listening from. Drop your city or country in the comments. Let me know this story reached you, and if it resonated, if it helped in any way, please subscribe. These stories matter. These truths need to be told. I thought he loved me until I heard why he really married me. He married me for my father's company, for a patent worth millions, for a 37-year investment strategy. But the joke's on him, because while he was calculating returns, I was building a real life, with real love for my children, real friendships, real purpose. And now I have all of it, and he has nothing. My name is Catherine. I'm 62 years old. My husband researched me like a stock pick and married me for money I didn't even know I'd inherit. But I survived. I rebuilt. And I'm living the life I was always meant to live. Trust yourself, protect yourself, and never let anyone make you feel like you're just an investment opportunity. Because you're not. You're so much more than that, and it's never, ever too late to start over.